Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are joined once again by Ciara Adams. Excited to have her here as the owner, creative director, and egg guardian at the Unity Studio, which of course is the home of Harmonic Egg Toronto. Welcome to the show today. How are you doing?
I am great, Jill. It's great to be here with you again today.
Yeah, same here. Great to see you. For those just on the podcast, you can't see her, but if you're on the Zoomcast, you can. And we got a great tour in store for you today. First and foremost, it's theunitystudio.com. That's our website. Tell us a little about what you do before we get started on this grand tour.
Okay, great. So I'm standing today at our logo. This is the Unity Studio logo. And in our previous sessions together on our podcast, we talked a little bit about the founder story, why I decided to open this business and what it means to me. So that's where we got our deer logo. So for those of you who can't see, our logo is a deer. And behind that is what's called a trichera. So many people may have seen this. It's a Celtic symbol. It's actually even older than Celtic. It's Norse. And if you look at it, it's like an infinity loop, and it goes, there's 3 different points. And basically a trichera represents the cycle of life. And Jill, I'm Irish. My parents immigrated to Canada from Ireland. And so it's part of my family history, and all of my family still lives there. So we incorporated this, but also because it's also about the cycle of life and how we transform in our lives, how we grow, we expand. And as we know, the deer is named after, it's here because of my son, Oisin, and he is really a great inspiration for this space. It's really a story of transformation through trauma, through grief. And everything I went through with my son and my son passing really gave me the inspiration to open the Unity Studio to help support people who would like to move through things that have happened in their lives, grow through grief, grow through trauma, and grow through healing. But also we grow through creativity, joy, and community. And to be honest, Jill, I would never have gotten through that situation in my life without the massive outpouring of love that we received from really across the world, like the true compassion and the love. That was really something. I'm someone that had never asked for that in my life and was really afraid to ask for it. And really, that's why I came up with using the word unity in our name, because unity means oneness. And once we all start to open up to our compassion and we start to put others, before ourselves while still actually loving the self, that's when we will start to come together as a species, really, and heal ourselves and find more joy and find more love and just have more fun, to be honest with you. Beautiful. So that's really the foundational story of this, of the studio.
Well, thank you.
And as you know, we have the Harmonic Egg, but we also have the space. So do you want to take a little tour with me today?
I would love to take a little tour. Yes, bring it on.
Okay, so we're going to walk down our grand staircase, and the space itself, it's like an open concept loft that you might find in sort of New York City or something. So I'm going to show you here. When you come into the studio, you see this vast space. It's a very calming space. It's a beautiful space for a wellness center. And we've talked about the Harmonic Egg, so everyone knows what that is. So we're using frequency and sound to harmonize the body, to heal the body. But we also have this beautiful event space. And in our event space, there's lots of room for people to come. We've done DJ parties, we've done weddings, we've done concerts. And as you can see, I made it so it feels like you're home, but it's also a professional venue. So you get the best of both worlds. Wow. And we've had sound healing here. Yeah, what do you think? Do you like it?
I think it's beautiful. I wish our listeners can see. Well, the Zoomcast people can, but this is a beautiful, big space you have.
Yeah, it's a great space. And we have, even in the space, we have a professional kitchen. So we're having some professional chefs come, and they're doing corporate events. We've got fundraisers that we have here. So as an event space, we can do it all. We can do the bigger events up to 150 people. So we do that for like dance parties, DJ parties, product launches, or we can do a more intimate, big table setting where you've got a professional chef or a wine tasting, and you come in for a very special event or a special evening. And we've been doing that for fundraisers as well. And in addition to that, we're going to walk and do a bit of a circle here very slowly. And you can see that we also have a big orange curtain over here because we actually have full back line for concerts. We've had a ton of professional concerts here. We have our own drum kit put away because we've got some events this week that are going to require the tables to be out. But you can do anything in this space. Yeah.
Wow, this is amazing. By the way, how many years have you been in this location?
We just opened in January, so we're pretty new on the Toronto scene. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. This is beautiful. And I love the full-size kitchen, too. What else do you have to show us?
Yeah. My piano is over here because, of course, Jill, I teach private voice lessons as well. And I've been teaching voice lessons for 20 years now. And really what I love about the fact of how I teach voice as a singer, I'm a trained opera singer, it really integrates with the harmonic egg and with wellness and creativity because the technique that I teach with voice, it's based on the bel canto and some other techniques as well. And it's also allows the body to really go into a rest and digest, just like the harmonic egg. So we're really learning to breathe, to relax the vagus nerve, to really connect with your body, and to really get to know your instrument. So many people come to me and they say, either someone told me I can't sing, or someone told me I shouldn't sing, or I'm terrified to sing. And really, I feel like it's my job to help people to just like come back into your body. We all have an instrument. We can all use our instrument to heal. We can use our instrument for fun. We can use our instrument to allow ourselves to express ourselves. And it's such a joy for me to teach voice as well. And it goes with everything else that we do in the space.
Wow.
Come on over here and we'll sit down and we can finish our chat. I'll sit on the couch.
This is great. I can't believe it. It is beautiful there. I love that. What does it say on the pillow there? Any what?
Okay, this says any crack. And this is an Irish saying. And any crack in Irish means any fun, any joy, any laughs. So we keep this here as just a reminder that really this is a place where we are here for joy. You know, with everything I've lived through and everything the world's going through, we need to find more places where we can come, we can be together in community, we can celebrate our creativity. You know, the world is very left brain, Jill, and I've lived my whole life in the right brain, which is where we do our creativity, where we can relax, where we find a sense of our greater self.
Yeah.
And really the Unity Studio is a place for people to connect with that, you know, whether they come here for a breath workshop, for meditation, for a Qigong workshop, for sound healing, to use the harmonic egg, or to come for a community dinner, or to come for a private event, to come to dance the night away. You know, we've had so many different things happen, and honestly, we are just at the beginning. So it's really, really exciting. And I'm, excited to see this space thriving all the time. So
Beautiful.
It's always busy.
Well, let's talk about some of the healing modalities. And basically, let me just go back to the egg in a sense. What is it doing for those listeners out there who are new to this whole concept, which I was when I first spoke to you? I was in shock. I've heard a little bit about it. I didn't know as much. Could you just break it down for us and go over some of the benefits it has on us and our bodies and our minds and our spirit and our soul?
Exactly. Absolutely. So we have 2 harmonic eggs here at the Unity Studio. And the harmonic egg is a sound, light, and energy healing. It's an egg shaped. You could say it's a capsule, but it's like you get into the egg, and it's very spacious. There's a lot of room in it, and you're in a sacred geometrical form. It's a dodecahedron. You have 2 different colors of light frequency therapy that are supporting you. And you also have some compassionately, intentionally music that's been created for the egg, 40 minutes of music, and it's followed by 10 minutes of silence. And you set an intention when you go in the egg. So the eggs are incredible for helping us to get out of stress, out of anxiety, helping people to really get beyond the mind chatter, all of those things that really hold us in those stress patterns. Mm-hmm. And we know that sort of stress can really lead to inflammation. Inflammation leads to disease. You know, there's all these things that are really, really difficult for us these days in our society. And people are like, it's hard to meet anybody who's not dealing with some kind of stress, anxiety,
Trauma, yep.
Yeah, trauma. We've all been through it. I think I heard a quote recently where someone said, if you've been living on the earth at this time in history, you know what trauma feels like. It's almost all of us that have had that experience at this time. And I have to say that we're moving out of a way of being as a species, which is very harsh. Like it's very power over. It's very intense. Go, go, go. You must produce, produce, you know? And we're moving into a time where we're actually discovering what is the divine feminine, what is the divine masculine. And those things are both just allowing yourself to come into a place where you understand the self from a place of self-love, but you also understand you're part of everything. You're part of nature. Yeah. You're part of each other, you know, and that's what the Unity Studio, that's what the word unity means. It means oneness. And when, as we move more into those aspects of ourselves, you know, and we discover that the world is going to get more compassionate. The world is going to get more loving. The world is going to get more relaxed, actually. And we're going to start to come back and really understand what I would call the magic of being alive, and actually have like space for that magic to come into play, you know? One of the other great aspects and important aspects of the Unity Studio and the Harmonic Egg is it's intention-led. So at the Unity Studio, we understand and know, and this is based in science and it's based in quantum physics, that our consciousness is really powerful. So if you set intentions and you decide on things, you will manifest them. You know, this is why a lot of us are in cycles of negative manifestation because we're stressed, you know, we can't seem to get above it. Yeah. So if we start to relax a little bit, if we actually learn how to take a few breaths, you know, the Harmonic Egg is wonderful for this. If you came once a month and you were a member, you come in, you give yourself the space, and guess what happens? You allow space for your intuition to come into play. So once you go into the egg and you've had that, about after 15 minutes, your mind will go into theta, alpha, then theta, and that allows the parasympathetic nervous system to relax. When the parasympathetic nervous system relaxes, it goes into balance with the sympathetic nervous system. Your body goes into homeostasis. This is just science, you know, and then your cellular structure can begin to heal. It can begin to find that sort of space. And it's in those moments. It's why meditation is such a big deal these days. You know, everyone's doing it and it makes sense. We get space, we get above the chatter, we get above the stress. And then lo and behold, your gut instincts kick in, your intuition kicks in. Yeah. You are able to more, in a healthy way, follow your higher self, follow your hero's journey. And really, that's really what I want to dedicate my life to, because I've been through it, Jill, I can tell you. And as part of this process and part of this journey, you know, I felt that it was my job to take care of everybody. It was my job to always be giving. It was my job to, you know, not spend any time on myself, to really put others before me. Yeah. And a lot of, especially women, have this tendency, you know, we've been sort of taught to do that. But once we can start to see that, no, take time for yourself. And this is all people, not just women. True. Take time for yourself, take time to love yourself, take time, and not in an egotistical way, but in an authentic, you know, very open-minded, compassionate way. And once you start to do that, you start to transform your inner self. And guess what? That transforms your frequency. That transforms what other people see. That transforms the reality you create. And then you can bring more happiness into your life, bring more joy into your life. And I can tell you, tomorrow is not a promise. I know this very well. And because I've lived through what I've lived through, you know, I also lived through the daily knowing of that, the daily feelings of that. And the best thing I can do is really allow myself to feel those feelings, which I do every day. And because I do that, I have space in my heart for other things, space in my heart for transformation, for how I can help others to find that in themselves as well. Because it's really, really hard, Jill. You know, you've seen it, I've seen it. When we've had difficult things happen in our life, it can be hard to not be in a cycle of poor me. Why is this happening to me? Why can't I get out of this loop? You know, and then people start to feel ashamed with themselves. People start to feel guilty that they can't do better. All these things, right? And the Unity Studio is really a place for people to learn that, no, we can move beyond that. We can take the time that we need to love ourselves. We can take the time that we need to slow down. And that might just start with just taking 3 deep breaths, you know, 3 deep breaths. Put your hand on your heart. If you just take 3 deep breaths, and let's do it right now. Should we do that right now and see how we feel? Let's
do it. Go ahead.
Okay. So we're going to breathe in through our nose and just exhale through your mouth. Put your hands on your heart. You can do this if you're driving. Put keep one hand on the wheel if you're listening to this on the radio. But also put one hand on your heart and just take a deep breath in through your nose. And exhale with a sigh, let's say. And another one. And exhale. And the third one. And exhale. Hey man, that's just transformed me as well. It's that easy. That's all it really takes, you know? And that's just the beginning. And if we just sort of check in with ourselves, if we start to build practices of self-compassion, self-love, if we start to move out of these ideals that we have that make us feel ashamed of ourselves, that make us feel like we're not good enough, that make us feel that, you know, we're always comparing ourselves with others. You know, I was trapped in cycles like that for a long time in my life. And having walked through what I've walked through, it's taught me to just, you know, love myself fully, stand in my power, stand in my joy, understand who I am, and the fact that each of us is such a unique gift to the earth, to the world. And we don't all have to be, you know, we don't all have to be famous. We don't all have to, we get fed this sort of idea that, you know, we have to do so much, but we actually don't. We really just have to come into our own hearts, you know, really with every single thing that we do each day, see if we can practice love, see if we can authentically practice compassion. That's how we are really going to enjoy ourselves. That's what leads to happiness. And back to the Unity Studio, really that's what this place is about, you know, and that's what I really passionately am dedicating the rest of my life to, because at the end of the day, Jill, there really is nothing else.
No, this is beautiful. Thank you so much. Let's remind everyone how we can reach out to you, by the way.
Yeah, so we are in Toronto, Canada, and our website is www.theunitystudio.com. You can email us at info@theunitystudio.com, and you can call us at 437-661-6410. That's 437-661-6410. And we would love to host an event. We would love to see you down here for a harmonic egg treatment and to start enjoying all the things that we have on offer here at the Unity Studio.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. We still have way more time. We got like 8 minutes left, so we are not done yet. But it's amazing that you're here showing all of this to us and really, you know, believing in everyone can manifest anything they want. And you can bring that joy to your life no matter what type of trauma you've been through. And as hard as that is in life, which I know you've experienced and so many of us have experienced with loss, it's just, it's good to know that you could, you know, get through that in a sense, right? And to really start living that higher purpose. And I think it's just beautiful what you're doing. I'm excited that you're here with us. And you mentioned your mom, right? She was really, you know, one of your biggest influences, right?
Yeah, my mom was one of my biggest influences. And I think like you, what you shared is I lost my mom. I was fairly young. I was 37. But my mom was a beautiful, incredible person. And one of the things I've learned through loss as well and grief, and I'm really grateful for this, is that when we do lose people who mean so much to us, people who have really been a guiding light for us in our life. And, you know, there's so many people our age now who are dealing with parents who are aging. And, you know, there's a lot of loss in the world. And I find that one of the things that's really helped me through the loss that I've experienced is allowing myself to know and to really believe that the people that we lose are still with us. You know, that actually has helped me so much in my experience with my son and my mother. And then when you do that, actually what you do is you open up to this greater magic in reality and you realize, wow, they are with me. So if I look at the Unity Studio, my mother was a caterer. She was a visual artist. She was an entertainer. She was Irish. And Jill, I can tell you, she was just such a hardworking woman that really could talk to anybody on the street and everybody loved her. And I strive to be like her. But one of the things about that is that, you know, I feel I've learned so much from her. And when I started to put the Unity Studio together in my mind and think about it, I was kind of amazed at how parts of her were just coming into what the studio is, you know, because when we do lose someone in our lives, and we deal with really the trauma of that, especially if it, which is the case for my mom and my son. These we came through some very serious illnesses, some time where we really had to put everything else aside to be there for that person. And I know there's a lot of people out there who are dealing with that. And again, when we do those things, sometimes we feel guilt because we're not going to work, or we feel ashamed that we've stepped out of our career because we're doing this. It's like, and I can't stress enough, follow your heart, follow your heart, follow your heart. If you are in a situation, and if you are lucky enough to be able to take the time to be with that loved one, do it. This is what life is truly about. I think we've gotten into a world where we're so career driven that we are kind of partitioning ourselves from different things. But that is where you're going to truly extend and expand yourself. You're really teaching your soul. You're expanding your reality. And the lessons you learn from that time are just going to be so profound and so useful for you moving forward in your life. And I think, there's some great changes happening in the world right now, and it's a really exciting time. I know that a lot of people are stressed, and a lot of people are anxious, and I know you guys are in the States, and we're even anxious up here in Canada about what's going to happen in November. But at the same time, it's stressful. And there's really not that much that, apart from in your case, in your country, you can go out there and you can have your vote, which is one fantastic. But what we can also do is we can also just allow ourselves to really hold space for ourselves, really stay. This is going to be the most productive, actually. My word of advice for anyone going through chaos, because we're going to see more and more chaos, and there's chaos in the world now. If we can hold that space and find a place of rest in ourselves, we are then able to it's literally a vibrational thing. We can keep our vibration. We're setting a vibration and tone for our consciousness as a species. So there's a vibration and tone, the lower vibrations of our fear, anger, resentment, all of those things. If we get caught up into that, we're actually contributing to that vibration. But if we can actually stand a little bit outside it, and we can watch with a bit of distance, staying in a heart-centered space as much as possible. Trust me, I know it is very difficult, but the more we can do that, we are actually setting a vibration which is higher, and that will actually contribute to a positive outcome. And it's good to remember too that sometimes, always actually, chaos theory, always things transform and they renew. If we think about forest fires that happen naturally, the fire will go through the forest and it will burn the forest down. But what does that do? It allows all of the carbon, all of the nutrients, all of the minerals to come back into the soil, to enrich the soil so that new things and even new species can evolve and grow. And essentially, that's what's happening now in our entire global community. We're seeing things that have come to a certain period place, and I'm not just talking politics now. We're seeing this in a lot of different places, and they're starting to transform. We're seeing it in our school systems. We're seeing it in economics. We're seeing it in political arenas, not just in the United States, but around the world. And this is how we begin to shift out of where we've been, which is a very, very top-down, power-over, greed-driven society, which has served many of us well. I'm not going to say it hasn't, because that's what business is. But now we're bringing a bit more compassion into that. Now we're learning to bring a bit more of the selflessness into that. Now we're beginning to learn how to bring a bit more of self-compassion into that. And as we do that, it's amazing what it does. It allows other people to feel better about themselves. It allows other people to know that they don't have to be ashamed of who they are. One of the reasons why I called this the Unity Studio, and one of the things that oneness means, is it means that we really start to understand that every single of the 8 billion humans and everything in nature that is here on planet Earth at this time has a right to be itself, has a right to express as itself, whatever that is, whatever we think about that. It's just for us to allow that and to see that without judgment. And hey, I know what I'm saying now is really challenging, but the more we can start to live with compassion and love in our hearts, which I would say most of us are doing and are like that, the more we do that and the more we trust that, the more we begin to love ourselves, the more we will see that takes on that compassion, that kindness, that way of being. And I have to say, I mentioned it a bit at the beginning of the podcast today. One of the really great lessons I learned from the tragedy of my son having brain cancer at the age of 6 and us going through that tremendously difficult time was that I learned how to accept love. I learned how to accept support. I learned because I was on my knees, Jill, like it was so hard that, I didn't know what to do. And then to have all these people swoop in from around the world and love us and send us love and support us. And we had people sending us fresh juice in the hospital. We had a meal train. We had people sending us well wishes from across the world. We had people praying for us in every single culture. We had indigenous elders praying for us. We had Christian people in the Philippines praying for us. We had family in Pakistan, Islamic family in Pakistan praying for us. I mean, it was amazing. And we would hold space when my son Oshin was at Princess Margaret Hospital in Toronto having radiation. We would do these live streams and people would just come on and they would hold that vibration of love and compassion. And it was what got me through. It is how I survived. It is how my family survived, and is how we were able to stay in a sense of joy, compassion, and love. And you know what? That meant that my child's last 9 months of life, even though he was suffering, were funny, were joyful. There was laughter. It was a beautiful, beautiful time. And I would say to anybody going through that, try the best you can to do that, because you will get through that experience and you will understand that you made the most of it. You will understand that you brought happiness and joy to your child or your loved one or your family member, your parents, at a time when it feels like that's the last thing you should do, but it's actually the first thing that you should do, see as much as you can, if you can stay in that heart-centered space and see and still you're going to have your moments, of course, when you cry, when you break down, when you don't know what you're going to do, but allow those moments, allow yourself to not know, allow yourself to cry. How did I get through the grief after my child passed away? By being on the floor. By spending the time I needed to, wailing, crying.
I apologize. We are out of time. I have to wrap us. We're over time. Please remind us how we can contact you. Thank you so much.
And thanks for listening, Jill. Again, we're the Unity Studio, info@theunitystudio.com. This has been great, Jill. It's been so wonderful to connect with you. Thanks for this opportunity, and all the best to you in the future.
Ditto. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic day. Bye-bye, hon. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing. I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.